Hello there, and welcome to Christmas Hobby Log. Now, interesting question today, and I'm trying to be balanced here. We've got Lord Flashheart's Flying Circus t-shirt on, and one of my favourite ever photographs that I've taken of a railway steam locomotive. Here, this is Bahamas, and the station last year, running just as support coach down to the south ahead of some rail tour work. And the question I've got for people is can someone take a break from a hobby and then later on come back to that hobby, but rather than just return to the hobby, because obviously anyone can do that, you can leave a hobby for years. Sometimes the classic traditional way of doing it, I guess, is if you do a hobby as a kid and then you discover other things in life, you might get married, you might have children, you might, whatever that puts your hobby on hiatus, and then in your older years you sort of, I've got a bit more free time now if you retire or whatever, and I'll come back to I used to build planes, I used to play trains, whatever. And you come back to that hobby. Yeah, you're not a total beginner because you've done it before. I've watched several YouTube channels now, because they all live in there, where it's like, I was used to it as a kid, I've come back, and I'm now redoing this. Now I remember doing this when I was a kid, I remember doing that when I was a kid, I remember doing it this way, so I'm going to do it this way again. And you pick up some new bits as you go, and see you can progress. That's the traditional way. Now I'm wondering this: can you return to a hobby after a break? Maybe not as long, it won't be as long as that, because if it was twice I'm talking about myself, let's be honest here. Let's not pretend I'm talking about someone else or trying to propose a great Greek thought, as it were, or Roman, classical civilization, where they all sort of sat to think like this, pondering. I'm not posing that's the question. This is something that's come to my own mind, and I'm putting out there because I'm interested in what everyone else thinks. So yeah, is it possible to return to this hobby, or to return to a hobby after a break of indeterminate time and come into it as a newbie? And that's not to say you pretend to forget or you have forgotten necessarily. If you have forgotten, you are a newbie again, aren't you? There's no question about it. If you've totally forgotten absolutely everything, I can come back to the hobby of aeroplanes. I don't actually know what a Spitfire looks like. Hang on, why did I even learn that word? That would be a total beginner again, wouldn't it? No, in every sense. But what about if you come back, if you know what a Spitfire looks like? There were 24 marks in RAF service, 46 or 40, is it FR47 or 46? I can't remember now. Seafires. That's a Navy thing anyway. No offense to you Navy fans out there. No, Fleet Air Arm, top guys. As everyone else. Anyway, and Second War sentence guys. Yeah. Anyway, no, I'm not reading too far into that. But basically, you can maybe remember, there's a 24 marks, or maybe the 9. You can remember that's the 9, and there's some Griffin engine ones, some bigger engine ones. But when you come back to the hobby of modelling those planes, it's a bit hard to say. You don't have a total hard reset, but you sort of just start again and go, right, I'm going to forget my preferences. Say as a kid or before you had a preference for building lots of American aeroplanes. You loved building American airplanes, P-51s, P-47s, B-17s coming out your ears. And you came back and you thought, no, I'm going to be open-minded. Is it going to be the same thing that takes my fancy? Am I going to want to build RAF airplanes, British airplanes? Am I going to want to build German ones, Japanese, Italian, Russian, or Soviet, Chinese, maybe ones that serve with the Chinese Air Force. That's going to be the thing I do. because I've come back to this open-minded. And that's what I want to know. Is it possible to do that? Because for those who know, my apologies for repeating this. For those who don't know, this was a hobby of mine. Trains as a whole, actually. But also, you know, a lot of you will now know that I do model aeroplanes. This is obviously the Spitfire that I completed most recently. The 92 Squadron Mark 1 by Tamiya. Still very pleased with that. But I do also have model trains, and this one was to hand. It's an old mainline model. Yeah. Now, there's no secret about that. In the banner at the top of the channel, there is a train in the picture, a model train in the picture. There are plenty of Japanese videos on this channel. New ones and ones from previous channels that I re-uploaded when I was just keeping this blog as starting a blog. And it is a blog. And just a quick note on that is I had that video as a tough goodbye, and I felt really rotten that night with the whole everything had happened in the stream previously, and I forgot that in that upset I forgot that, hang on a minute, this is just a blog of my hobbies, and if you enjoy it and you want to come for the ride, brilliant. And I see 90 of you do, which is just bowls me over entirely. So thank you, welcome all. Hopefully you enjoy my mad ramblings. I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible because I don't want a 20-hour video of me just going oh, but you know, pick my nose and the rest of it. So yes, yeah, I do Japanese language, but I want to come at it from a fresh point of view. Now, something that I am going to, I was going to discuss this with Dale when I was thinking about coming back to the hobby. It's only been about a month really since I sort of left the hobby, as it were. Maybe a bit more, really. I suppose a couple of months now since I left the hobby. And I felt better in myself. I was meeting better people in the aviation world of sphere of interest. You know, go to a show, go to an air show or something, you can start talking just about anyone around you. There's always going to be some people you don't get on with, but generally speaking, I'll find someone who I'll just end up talking to. Cosby Victory Show, there were 3 independent groups of people, so 2 people on their own, that's me and there was a lady, and there was a couple, sorry, I can't think of, my brain's gone. I don't want to talk about, but I'm sort of trying to make a point here. And we were just a group. We became a group and we just talked. We even left the area together and then split up eventually to go our separate ways, basically almost at the end. And that's totally different to the experience I've had with railways to a large extent. Now, actually, when I went to take this picture, there was someone there who I started chatting to in the same day. Yeah, fears are making you watch the trains. In the same way, and when I went to see Tornado, as a chap I spoke to, and so yeah, there are the odd ones, and they are there, but I think with my train hobby and that I've had the misfortune, because it's easy to blame everyone else. No, I do take responsibility. I will take responsibility in a minute, but I've had the misfortune to meet a lot of the wrong people. And this is where I'm taking responsibility. I do realise I need to learn that it's just not the same. If it happens, wonderful, but don't expect it like you do with the air shows, you know, maybe. In the model railway world, the word I'm going to use is toxic, and toxic people are a huge thing. I just need to manoeuvre my arm on my chair here because it's getting trapped under the table. So you saw that wobbling. It was just because my chair of my arm of my chair, not my chair of my arm. I know what I meant. Yeah, some horribly toxic people. There was a person that, point to where the layout was, completely tore apart what I was doing on there. I had been introduced to pre-grouping modelling, and a person on our own web just totally tore into it. Absolutely ripped it apart. There was no need. There was no need. I wanted to leave the hobby at that point. And this is one of the reasons why I took a break, and I actually thought it was going to be quite a permanent break from it, from a sort of forever break. Because when I weighed it up, there was more misery associated with the hobby of trains than the good it had done me. I had a very good friend in Japan who sadly I've lost, not in the sense that they've died, but things have just happened. I haven't heard from them again, and it's a real shame. I used to spend quite a lot of time talking to this person on voice chat, I'd already lost another friend out there who, again, not died, but so there's a lot of sort of hurt and sort of like, well, why am I bothering? Person I knew since I was at preschool almost. We sort of grew up together essentially. It was a couple of years, well, a few years when we weren't in contact necessarily, but into trains. And now I've got a mind. I like changing my mind. I get distracted by interesting things. That's one thing that doing a Warhammer army or an aeroplane is quite good, because like the minute I'm Spitfire crazy, absolute Spitfire crazy. I've got the Mark 5 on the go, and there will be a video on that so shortly. But at some point, I'm going to want to build something else, and I do actually keep getting a hankering to build a German aeroplane, and I've got an Arado 196 float plane, I think it is, which I've made a start on, and I will try and see that through. It's the float plane that they had on the battleships and things. I think the one I'm doing is off the Bismarck. And so that's something that's easily done in the modern aeroplane world. And also Warhammer Army, okay, it's expensive to change, but generally speaking, if you want to do a different Space Marine army, you do one, and you want to do a different one, you just repaint your Marines. You can strip the paint off even, and you can repaint your Marines, so there's not a lot loss there. Or there's smaller skirmish games now, so if you want to collect several different armies, it's actually quite cheap, because you generally need a couple of boxes or something, and you can play some of your smaller skirmish games if you're happy doing that. And then if you want to take one of those and make it a bigger army and go, actually, I really like this concept, I really like the paint scheme I've done, and there we go. I'm stop doing that. Anyway, so yes, you can do that. With model trains, it becomes even more expensive to do this. So I can understand a frustration if someone that keeps changing their mind and sort of go, well, hang on a minute, you're wasting a lot of money here, because you keep buying stuff that you sell it on, you don't ever get what you paid for it back. And then you buy more stuff, which is, it's sort of vicious cycle. Now, one of the longest standing things I've ever had has been the Japanese railway. However, and this is my one condition to returning to return to the hobby, which I think I do. I've had a bit of fun playing trains sim actually recently. Me and Will have White Husky sometimes, or Monk K2, I think is his username. It sometimes pops up in live streams. We've been having a bit of fun over the past 24 hours or so in driving the same bit of track, different locomotives each, and seeing if we can beat each other's speed. So far he's winning, and he's been winning since yesterday, but he actually upped the stakes again, and it's quite interesting because it's a Saint he's using. A King can't beat it, a rebuilt Scott can't beat it, and Jubilees can't beat it, and it's okay. Cathedral can't beat it. I'm not sure this Saint's been coded properly, but that's just me. Modified Hall, all else also. But anyway, it's fun. We've been having a bit of fun doing that, and it's been allowed me just to enjoy just driving some trains, which has been nice. And I sort of that's one of the things that made me thought, do you know what, this could be something you could get fresh enjoyment out of. And the the game Transport Fever 2 I've been playing again, and actually I was trying to look at the different aircraft in that, and the railway side of things I was just sort of really was just gaming it, and didn't really care what was running, so it suited what I needed to play the game well, that was the main idea there, and it's just like, okay. And that's what gave me the thought about the open-mindedness. So my one caveat is the trains in Japan are fantastic. They're wonderful things. But I want something I can actually easily read up on. I want something I can easily access. And the most easy of all this is UK trains in the UK, British trains. But that's as far as I'm going to go. So I want to come open-mindedly into it. Because even US trains, I mean, there's stuff out there. It's in a language I know, more than a couple of words, and but it's just that getting onto books is difficult. There's some fantastic DVDs like the Crofter DVDs and the I could remember the other guy's name yesterday, and I can't remember his name today. Crofter and I had it there. If I think of it, I'll say it. But it's Crofter and the other guy, who did some fantastic videos on of 1950s US stuff, the steam diesel crossover period. It's really bothering me who that other guy is, because I can hear it. I can almost hear his name, but I can't say it. But if I think of it, I'll say it. Just so to keep the video going. To keep it as short as possible. But yes, so it's a bit hard. Whereas obviously if it's UK based, I can access it here. I've probably got books on and stuff, but I don't want to look at those too much, because again, that could affect my choice. Because obviously I've brought the themes in there. I might end up doing a layout where it's like some of the ones I've seen on YouTube, where people just tend to collect the trains they like and they'll use them for the purposes they were built for. Like, say a shunting locomotive, you use it for shunting and still, but it just happens to be running with more from another company. I might do British Railways, I might do the LMS, I might do LNEL, I might do Great Western, who knows. The only other thing I think I definitely don't want to do, in my, because obviously I would be lying if I didn't say I hadn't already started exploring this concept, is I don't want to do pre-grouping, because that's something that in my heart and in my brain I'm just like, no, that led to the bad stuff. That led to the bad stuff. I met some fantastic people through it, and people I'm still happy to talk to and cool friends, But overall, there is an attitude I find with the pre-grouping, more so than some of the other bits where it, and isn't all, but more so it's a bit more rivet countery, basically. If you've not done something exactly as someone else thinks, they will tell you. And it doesn't have to be on our own web, it doesn't have to be on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook. It could be any one of those, or it could be on Discord. If you're not fitting what they want, and so I'm thinking to myself, well, let's not go there, because it just leads to hurt. So, and there's plenty of other opportunities for things. So, what's the basis of it? I'm trying to keep this now under 25 minutes. Sorry, if you stuck with me this long, fantastic, well done, thank you. So the crux of this is that I'm not totally writing off the Japanese stuff, because if I'm disregarding pre-grouping, I don't want to sort of like, yeah, okay, I've got a lot of Japanese stuff, but whatever I go with, because I have got a couple of books on it and stuff like that which could help me, but it's going to be very limited knowledge. But it really would be a layout just to run trains there without really learning much. So that's another aspect of the hobby. That's the other side of things. If I end up going with British, it will be 00. And whatever I've got, I'll imagine is we'll have this imaginary benefactor who's left me, or I've just discovered them in the house, left me this collection of trains, and that's what I've got to start with. So a lot of people I know, these were my granddad's trains, and I started building a layout for them, and got some more bits, and so I build a collection that way. So that's how I'd view it. So if I can't use everything, so I'm not doing Great Western, well, I might use this to begin with, and then not once I've got something more appropriate, maybe, or depending on what I'm doing. So yes, that's the thought. But what do you guys think? I mean, what do you folks think? Yeah, do you think that's a possibility that you can come back and try and sort of totally forget your allegiances previous, and just try and be as open-minded as possible to what lies ahead, you know? Yes, so that's the question, and this is how I'm going about tackling it, I suppose, is what the video's been. Thank you for sticking with me this long. I'm really impressed at how many views Clun Castle got. Now, Clun Castle was a really interesting thing because that wasn't a scheduled video. There's a lot more throwback videos which are coming, which are scheduled. They release every Friday at 8 o'clock in the morning, but Clun Castle is not one. That was a bit of an experiment, because if you go back in time to my older train videos, then there is a big disparity between the views they got and the views that my recent content's been getting. I mean, wow, I can't believe the Duxford Battle of Britain show's at 9.1k views now, which is wonderful. But Clun Castle was an experiment, and it's overtaken the War Thunder video. I didn't expect that War Thunder video to do very well. War Thunder doesn't ever seem to do very well unless I'm streaming it. Streaming it back in the day. Now it's not so popular. It's so popular now. That wasn't a surprise. I just wanted that particular video backed up on YouTube, basically. But the big thing with it all is I just wanted to also, it's interesting. I put a train video up, considering a lot of people have subscribed to me recently for airplanes. How's a train going to do? So I thought, well, it's a nice video. It comes through at nice speed. It's 50 seconds long. Let's just see. Sorry. So yeah, that's been interesting. I'm really surprised. I'm really pleased actually. It's done so well. Gives me some confidence moving forwards. So yeah. Anyway, I look forward to reading all your comments. Thanks for watching. Take care, be well, stay safe, and we're under 25 minutes. That point where the timer is on the phone. But yes, bye.